that you will get information so you can select that home and put this to work. With that, let's see, we have more things coming up here. You'll hear a lot on the store pieces. It could be EQUITABLE 2026, which I'm really excited about. That we will have a huge economic opportunity for all of us in the state. We'll get to hear more pieces on that. And we'll get to hear how we develop on-the-ground solutions and economic development. So with that, it is my tremendous honor to recognize and have our voice leader, a tribal historian from Montana Indians, who will be delivering our land technology. You'll see a school bio and spot card. Lauren, it's my turn to have you.
Thank you. On behalf of the Spokane Tribe of Indians, we'd like to welcome this conference and each and every one of you as individuals to our ancestral homes for the city of Spokane, citizens of our homelands. You asked me to do a land acknowledgement. I asked for a few more minutes because I want to tell you a little bit about our history, about what we've had to endure to be economically stable. In 87, the worker was probably 10. I say 10, it might be 12. So for the Spokane Tribe of Indians, we were a kind and caring, sharing people who lived on this land. Time memorial. Our culture was based on caring, sharing, and giving. Other tribes came to these falls, which was not hard here, to get a share of the fish. They talked about us and they said, hands, even when they had nothing to share. For the Spokane, our DNA has been placed in this land for over 700 generations. So when you place that many years and that many people into the ground becomes your DNA. And it is my belief why Spokane is so kind, caring, and sharing that comes from our DNA. Because it's the plants and the bushes and the trees that grow from us. The city has taken on that atmosphere. The Spokane tribe is part of the Salish-speaking tribes of the Northwest who live upon the plateau. The Salish language goes to Montana, northern Idaho, Washington, and into Canada. If you take nothing else away from what I say today, please understand the Spokane tribe is a river people. For we rely on everyone around us and everybody rely on every individual. When this can be done, I can rely on you, you can rely on me. It was a good time in life. Salmon, if you didn't know it, was our staff life. Salmon this large, up to 70 pounds, used to come here to the sea just below the falls here in the city of Spokane. Our ancestors and early people that arrived and described it as this. The river ran black with fish, and the river ran red with fish, depending on the species of fish that was coming from the ocean at any given time. Or that it was described that there were so many filled the river that the pyramids walked across the backs to the other side. So for thousands of years, the land, the river, and the fish lived together as one. Our economy, means this is an economic conference, our economy was based on those fish. Our horses, too. The horses became part of our economy. Great horse herds once roamed these lands. The tribal people understood that it was for all of us, not economics. We don't do it for ourselves, we do it for our children. The tribal people understood that it was everybody's responsibility to help raise these children. But also the storytellers. Generation following generation, we passed on our traditions, our knowledge, but it was that strong bond, see in the old way. 3 generations lived in our lodges. Children, parents, grandparents. Grandparents, our elders, used to be our knowledge keepers. We went to them for advice, for knowledge, to talk about the history, to talk about the future. Sadly, modern days. but it was those long hours of our children that still built our society in strong ways. Then we were interrupted. In 1810, the first fur traders arrived just below the city, about 9 miles down the river. Then they said that following the fur traders came the missionaries. They too wanted to change this. And I'm telling you this just to show you what we went through to still be here today. Then by the 1840s and 1850s, our world began to shrink in. Our economics changed. Our fish was starting to disappear. We had to change with the times because from the west, from the east, the wagons of people coming into free land, even though the land was very popular. Down south, when the 49ers arrived, gold miners were taken up all to be found in the mountains and streams. All it was, they pushed people. Our world began to continue to shrink as ships of people landed upon the coast. The Cascade Mountains became known as the Golden Gate. Just go over the Cascade Mountains, there's all this land and road that you would ever want. Our world, our people, shrinking. They wanted to live with us. What attracted the mayor to the city of Spokane falls itself, that falling water, the turned plain, the grist mills, the lumber mills, providing electricity. Sadly, though, by the time they arrived, the city was built by population center. Most people don't understand that tribal populations in this nation had decreased by 80% within the first 100 years of the arrival. We are finally here in 2024 at the same population we were 274 years ago. Then from this point forward, they still wanted rid of the tribal people of this land. And it came in two forms. First, it was Canaan genocide. And then it came the doctrine of discovery confirmed and continued and moved into the manifestation. They wanted to push the tribes from the east into the darkness. But tribes, we understood, we saw it differently. We didn't see light being pushed our way. We thought we were needed light. Darkness was being pushed upon us. The economy was changing again. By 1858, not far from here, war began. Tribal people were dying. Warriors, machine and sheep, the women that rode with them. They went to battle. They pushed the first soldiers out from the street of 58. Then they came back with vengeance, a new weapon, right? A new weapon that could just shoot 50 yards, as in the screen model. Now they can shoot 300. The Four Lakes battle took place not far from here. This is where you turn off the road to eastern Washington Street. Right, that's the Four Lakes battle. The second battle that fall took place called the Battle of Spokane Base. The running battle. We pushed across Fairchild Air Force Base across Arroyo Heights. And at the end of it, we understood this new long-range rifle, howitzers, and cannons had to be changed to who we were. To punish us, they didn't understand that we had many ones. But when they found a group of 1,000, nearly 1,000, out toward Post Falls, their way to get even with us to go to war was to kill them all. It took them 2 days to slaughter 1,000 persons. Those homes and babies. When we rode in to talk peace, this is a Spokane woman writing the culture. Yes, when we rode in to talk peace, with the serious culture was when the salmon that we lived on for 14,000 years began to disappear, we did not know why. But it was these fish wheels far downstream, building the non-Indian economy. Fish wheels turning night and day, thousands of being ripped from the river. These salmon were sent to the canneries. There were up to 50 canneries in the lower Columbia. In the lower right of this picture, you'll see one warehouse that was 50 canneries, holding 3 million cans. Salmon, cotton cans, all over the world. When they sent us a reservation that same year, over 40 million pounds of salmon. 40 million pounds of salmon. For a tribal person, this is more like 50 or 60 million pounds. Another thing that was taken from us that had value to us, our economy was developed. Although they only seldomly roamed this far, we went to Montana to get this is not taught in schools anymore. At any given time, 30 to 60 million buffalo. That was the economy back. 30 to 60 million buffalo roamed from back east to Rocky Mountain, Minnesota. Yes. Then, over a period of time, by 1978, all the buffalo in the United States, that economy was gone. By 1883, all the economy for the tribes in the north was gone. All about 5%. Still, those who saved. Led by buffalo trains. Along these buffalo tracks were hills, mountains of buffalo skulls, hedgerows of buffalo skulls, 30 to 60 million buffalo killed. Buffalo skulls taken to be sent to the factory made of fertilizer. Then we in Spokane were pushed off the land, pushed on the reservations here up in the city of Spokane, where we no longer wanted. We were told, fishers, you must become farmers. They gave us a reservation, and they took it away. They gave us another reservation, and they cut it in half. But we still continue to survive and continue to grow, survive, and we're resilient. Those that did not come to the reservation, they here in the city of Spokane, they said you have to go to Montana to live with the flathead. So you have to go to Idaho to live with the Coeur d'Alene, the Caldwells. You see, they didn't want these other to come to the Spokane reservation. So today, some of these Spokaneans live as flatheads, live as recognized. The Spokane tribe, we had a chief, these chief fathers. Like all of you, he understood education was a primary way to succeed in the future. So he tried desperately to get his children educated. When he couldn't get them to build a schoolhouse, they came back and they said, please give us your children. Send them to Salem, Oregon, or Forest Grove. We'll teach them there, then they'll send them home. But you see the problem when we send all those children to Forest Grove, almost that sent and the rest died. They built a fort to keep us on the reservation, to keep the non-Indian talk. When the soldiers left in 1898 to go fight the Spanish American War, they turned that fort into a boarding school. That boarding school killed the Indian. But we survived. We were resilient. We pushed through this. But you can see the faces of the children. 154 pictures I have. All those pictures, you will not see a single smile, a single child in those 6 years. But we survived and pushed forward. Then they said, separate us. They gave us allotment. The gray that you see is the native tribal people. The white is that on the sign. Because what was the sign was to be sold off. Because they thought that if you mix enough non-Indians with these tribal people on the reservation, no longer these tribal governments, but we continue. They gave us $0 million in Paris to keep us there, to tell us what to do. But it was more like they just came to boss us around. That's all they did. You could not even spend your own money without asking permission on the reservation, without asking permission. Then they came to our rivers, farther downstream. They put up these dams. When we were waiting for the fish to arrive, we turned off the water. Fish no longer came to the city. Grand Coulee went up and became the grandest state in the northwest of the United States. Contributes millions, billions to the economy. This is what they did to us. They sent us here to be farmers, the best farm grabbers in the world. The Grand Coulee destroyed those farmers, washed away those homes, changed our lives again, but we're still here. It's still resilient. We pushed through. We changed our economy for the third time. And that water came, which was once filled with fish, that used to feed us for thousands of years, back on the cycle. Changed the mountaintops, forests. They still were not good to us as tribal people. The relocation era came. Life went on in Washington, D.C. They said, we know we've done wrong. Don't put those Indians on the reservation, put them off. Scatter them to the wind. That's how we get rid of them. So this relocation process, so they started sending tribal people all across the United States. So when they were sending Spokane here from the city or around here, to all the places around the United States, the problem was when we went to Roswell or Denver or Minneapolis, those tribal people that were giving them the same promises. Go to the city of Spokane for school and education, tribal people were costing them, training, apprentices, given the same promises. Then that almost worked. Almost worked. They continued on. Then came termination because of the relocation that almost happened. If we didn't know it, actually 174 tribes were terminated. No more tribes, no more tribal people, just U.S. citizens. But the thing is, there were all those people that sat in those cities. When they were told, if you sell your reservation, you see the problem was those people that lived in the cities now, they never considered returning home to the reservation. There was nothing there for them. So when you were told by the United States government, if we send you a check, all you have to do is go to the return. It wasn't for this woman on the part. She rose up and for the tribal people, it was my opinion, if not for Lucy, there would be no tribes today. I even call this Spokane, call it non-existent. Nixon ended this election. Then came for the very first time tribal people to make decisions, financial decisions for ourselves, business decisions for ourselves, through self-determination, taking it around, and you can see across the United States, tribes have become more established in the casinos, through contract, decisions for ourselves. We started our casino, we expanded. Today, last week, we opened our hotel, the very first rooms. That's a Spokane tribe. So, on behalf of the Spokane tribe, we hope you enjoy your visit to our land. It's successful, that you enjoy it, and thank you.
Thank you very much for such a provoking slide explanation of what you've been through. I know for us it's about learning and understanding and building relationships and partnerships together. And that's probably the most visual along with the oratory council that seems. Thank you for that. I guess to hear the story, hopefully you can get in that break. So with that, we're also here today celebrating Juneteenth. And really it's all about understanding the significance of Juneteenth. And so with that, we actually have one of our leaders in development on our stage, Von Taylor, the Vice President of Economic Development in the Seattle Metro Chamber, to give us some insight in case you don't know about the celebration today.
Suzanne Gillis, Alicia's program. So while I don't have a presentation story, like that experience and slaves in our country, just want to acknowledge today is an important institution where racism is just wanted to applaud Suzanne, reach out to other African Americans. With that, I just want to lead in that Juneteenth is a specific historical significance, and it's also a broader significance for all the world. As you may know, Juneteenth is short for June 19th, and it marks the date when federal troops arrived in Texas on June 19, 1865, to take control of the state, free 250,000 enslaved Africans, ensure that all enslaved troops' arrival came a full 2.5 years after the signing of the Emancipation Proclamation by President. Juneteenth is our oldest known public celebration of the ending of slavery in the United States. It finally became a federal holiday in 2020. Juneteenth celebrates freedom and also is a remembrance of past struggle. It is a reminder of a long, arduous journey towards racial justice and full equality. It prompts us to examine our willing fight for emancipation, confront our uncomfortable truths, and work collectively towards a just and inclusive future. Mr. Saylor's land economy is so powerful, and while land theft is a very tangible concept, systemic and structural racism are deep. And in fact, enslavement treated humans as property. So imagine, blacks were considered property. Yet I say that blacks were considered property. Therefore, we should always and forever in our hearts express acknowledgement, forgiveness, and deepest appreciation for the surviving to which is today. Juneteenth is a time to be candid about these scars in our history, uncomfortable as it is. It is a day to honor the work of civil rights pioneers. It is a day to acknowledge our collective work and lives. It signifies the continual and universal quest for equality, equity, opportunity, unity, and freedom within every generation. And for the sake of our country, it offers an occasion to be better, to understand, and pursue. So from an economic development standpoint, Juneteenth and every day is an opportunity to reflect on the economic imperative and equity. The recognition of Juneteenth as a holiday and its increased awareness of our history are positive steps forward. But we still have very wide and serious disparities in every facet of our society, including our economy. We still have tremendous work to do, but today we must do it. So I just want to thank you for being here at the supporting conference of sprinting towards a more equitable future, towards a dialogue.
Mr. Taylor, Mr. Taylor, thank you for sharing your experience and the meeting that was presented to us. That's powerful. Thank you. So I am Gary Blue. I'm the Vice President of Economic Development for Greater Spokane. So I wanted to shift gears a little bit and talk a little bit about something that happened here just days ago. We hosted Spokane was also hosted. Welcome to Spokane. Glad to have you here. Thank you. Please, as you're here, go around the city, engage, go to the restaurants, bars, buy a car. So I wanted to take it, so I'll get a little bit of my own personal history with the International Economic Development Conference. I joined the IEDC in 2006. In 2012, I became a certified economic developer at the IEDC. GSI, Greater Spokane, in partnership with the IEDC, is host of what's called Economic Report Fellow. And who is our fellow? So there are 65 fellows across the United States. This program, IEDC is working with the Economic Development Administration to put people into communities for 2.5 years, and 65 fellows are Year's Conference. And then we were the host of the 2024 Economic Future over the past 3 days. And that story goes back a ways as well. When we were supposed to host the conference in 2021, but there was this little thing. And so we did the conference virtually, but we had this prep going into it, trying to do it in person. After the conference was virtual, I reached out and said, would you like to have a person in 2024? He said, yes. I'm not sure why. No, it was an amazing time. It has been a lot of work. We're going to get a shout out. Joey Gunny is proud. Yay! And we are lucky enough today to be able to welcome Nathan Bolton to the stage. He is the CEO of IEC. Nathan came into IEC about 2.5 years ago as the executive. That organization, IEC, had the same person who was for a number of decades. And so, he is the organization. I believe good way. Maybe we'll let you know. So we did a strategic plan. This is a little part from the strategic plan of what goals came out for IEC, and I put this with me because it really talks about professional economic development, what our job is, where we should go in economic development. Today is touch on it, so I won't say too much. So, but Nathan was the senior advisor for the IEC, senior advisor to the US. Okay, so that has strengthened the role of the administration for the U.S. Department of Commerce, White House, it has a passion for rural economic development and strategies. Hosting a conference specifically around rural economic development. And I got to meet his wife, Dallas. That's nice. I got to see his kids at least virtually. He was here. He's been away from his family. And then his kids are very cool. So we're doing this and I hear his which plays in love for Spokane. We are the basketball tournament. So we're shaking his head. Must be right. So with that, please welcome to the stage Nathan Bolton.
Sorry, I'm a walker about this. First of all, good afternoon. We're in Washington State, right? Good afternoon. Good afternoon. So, first of all, I just want to say beautiful way. This conference is centered and focused on background. You can't do that until you acknowledge difficulties that. So I just wanted to start and say, us to understand history and both positive and resulted from doing one. So I'm Nathan Bolton, the President and CEO of the International Economic Development Council. As Gary said, we have spent a lot of time in the last 2.5 years tracking and engaging to figure out what the future of our organization. We're the world's largest association. What that means? It means that we're here in service of all community service. And about 1.5 years ago, the start of early 2022, we decided to embark on a strategic plan. The most comprehensive strategic planning process the organization. And for me, that had to center on engaging not just members, but stakeholders across the economy. Make sure that the voices of those members and those stakeholders to identify what should we as an organization be doing In total, we engaged more than 900 people in the process over a 6-month period through surveys, one-on-one interviews, through focus groups, from engagements and conferences like these to make sure that we heard what the needs were of our members, not just today, but well. And what that does, it told us 5 main things the stakeholders wanted. First, they wanted IAC to drive a bold vision for evolving. Recognition that this profession has changed fundamentally over the last 5 years. We need to be bold in how we think about the profession and the field. Second, they wanted us to be the clear economic development voice. They wanted to have a voice of what economic development is, what it means to communities, what it means to businesses, what it means to people, and how that drives profession. They wanted us to make sure that we could cultivate inclusive and global community of professionals. You all know economic development is not well known outside of our world. First question I ask anyone in this profession is, how did you get into this work? Oftentimes, it's like myself, we stumble into it. So we want to create an inclusive and global community of professionals. We want the organization to help economic development access a large and diverse workforce. We know workforce issues are huge components of work and a huge need for the community to be able to serve. And finally, they wanted the organization to invest in organizational capacity and change to help build that future. So for us, what does that mean? We've got a mission to do 3 main things. Number one, we want to drive bold leadership, collaborative partnerships, and innovative programs and solutions. Really equip stakeholders to equip economic development professionals to drive more equitable and sustainable outcomes. We want to do that as the best place to work, best place for economic developers to learn and connect, and be the premier professional association for economic development. Those are big goals. We also know those can't happen without engaging with each and every one. So out of that strategic plan process, we have 3 main big goals for the organization. Number one, we want to impact individuals and organizations. So you as individual economic developers, the organizations you serve. Number 2, we want to drive impact the profession itself, move the profession forward, and make sure we got the tools and resources necessary for folks to continue to drive the profession. And third, to have an impact on the world. Recognition that this world is more interconnected today than ever been. And we need to make sure that we are engaging folks from across different regions, places, from different parts. Now for us, I think this is a lot of work. And none of this happens without actually building the organizational capacity, the engagement, and of course, center and focus on diversity. And that access piece is really important. One of the things we heard a lot is that there are a lot of communities that couldn't access our tools. Barriers and ways that we were essentially keeping people out of the opportunity. So every decision we make is part of the strategic planning process. We have these. And I want to spend just a little bit of time talking particularly about stakeholder engagement. Because none of our work happens without work. Great example of this, Gary and the team here at Greater. They stepped up in a time of difficult economic and uncertainty. We all know we're Gary's team said, no, we still want to host. We spent literally the last 3.5 years with Gary and his team planning the economic. And I'll tell you, this was probably the most special economic future forum we've had, because we didn't do it just in partnership with Gary and Gary's. We also did it in partnership. And Suzanne and I had many conversations. And when we started talking about coming to Spokane, and the fact that you guys had your conference, conversations about bringing those 2 conferences together, connecting them, providing opportunities for PETA members and IAC members to connect the way, was something we as an organization have done a really deep passion. But I want to just tell you that you have a tremendous. She's thoughtful, she's innovative, she wants to engage, and she is what I consider the best. We partner directly with WEDA, obviously, and these two conferences, provided opportunities for these members that this kind of race engage with us. We also had conversations with WEDA about what topics you all were thinking about in your conference, including them in our program. And it is an example for us in every conversation we have with other states. Sure that we are building true and deep strategic programs. We're going to use this modified forces agency today for our annual conference. Much the same reason. My hope and goal is that we do that for every single conference. Most importantly, I hope that you all will continue to engage, not just help us understand where this profession needs to go, how we can provide better partnership with WEDA and other state associations, and to do that in a really deep. You ever hear me talk? You will hear me talk about collaboration. Hear me talk about partnerships. I think it's a fundamental way it's being done. Partnerships between organizations, partnerships with communities, partnerships with businesses. It's at the heart and center of what you all do. I want to be here to tell you today that IBC is here. We want to hear your voice. We want to make sure we understand where we can provide better resources, where we can partner better with WEDA, and every community across this. And to tell you that we're doing this. It has been fun over the last 4 days for me to be able to learn more about not just what's happening in Spokane across the state of Washington. And I'll tell you, folks, as happened last night. This is my 4th trip to Washington. This is the most visited state I've had an opportunity. Every time I've come, I've had incredible action on this work. So thank you for giving me a little bit of time on the schedule. Thank you for hosting Gary. It's been an incredible last 4 days for me.
One more hand for me. Organization profession. He needs to get going home so he can hug his children and fight. Thank you so much for spending this time with us in Spokane. It was great. The conference was great. I thought everybody had a good time. At least that's what they're doing. So, thank you. So we're going to move welcome from our mayor from Spokane. These folks in this room may be very familiar. So Mayor Lisa Brown, she took office 5 months ago. She was the director of Congress. She's an economist. She taught economics. She has real economic development. And if there's any politicians in the room right now that listen to this part, sometimes politicians mention economic development, and then we need to do economic development and not actually understand what that means. She is not one of those. So we have a message from Mayor.
Hi, I'm Mayor Lisa Brown. I'm so happy to welcome you to the city of Spokane. I'm truly sorry I'm not joining you in person today. As an economist myself, I'm thrilled to see you learning about and discussing how to foster equitable and inclusive economic development. Equitable and inclusive development is essential for creating a prosperous and sustainable future. It ensures that every community, regardless of location, background, or socioeconomic status, has the opportunity to thrive. For us in Spokane, equitable development often means geographical. I would recommend that you visit our small business districts like Hilliard for good food and printing, South Perry for coffee and beer, and the Garden District for all of the above. Equitable development also means working with diverse communities. Here in Spokane, we're proud to work with organizations like Tahana, Tito's in Spokane, and the Inland Northwest Business Alliance. When we prioritize equity and inclusion, we unlock the full potential of our workforce, foster innovation, build stronger resilience. I hope this conference will be full of collaborations, spark new ideas you can bring back to your communities. I'm sure these next days will be inspiring. Well, once again, welcome to school. And I'm sure former Mayor of St. Anton Powers, who has continued to be connected to our economic development movement, our current Mayor Brown, but we appreciate her leadership and really a lot of activities she's done with Congress and all. Please give her a big shout out to that.
You said it's a real big.
So many of you have been involved with WEDA for years, but a few of you are newer to our organization. Just so we're all on the same page, WEDA has been a united voice for economic development for almost 30 years. Our mission is to serve as the state's only professional association that laser focus on the development of economic and environmental opportunities in our state. As the state continues to reset from the pandemic, faces the rapidly transforming global economy, WEDA is committed to retaining, expanding, and creating jobs and investments all across Washington. We are working hard to partner with leaders across the state to help policymakers and the public understand the crucial importance of economic development. And we made a big difference in doing so. We'll hear more about it with our legislators and all of our people that are working with this policy advice. You can see a track record that Gina will do a little bit when we do our legislative session. We do know, though, that fast forward, we have a new governor and new team coming up. First time in 12 years, we will have at least 25 new legislators. So it'll be up to all of us to help educate and inform our new team leaders for the state about the value of economic development and the importance of it in our communities. WEDA also has a fabulous and strong board across the state. Many of whom are here today, so if you're a board member of WEDA, would you please stand up so we can give you a huge round of applause. We appreciate your leadership. They go above and beyond because as you know, WEDA is a dynamo, Suzanne Melody, and her team. And if we borrow a Holly, we can. Thank you very much. And so with that, it needs a lot of our volunteer leadership to step up and help put out programs, make contact with legislators. So we appreciate you being active and engaged in our organization. And we're always looking for leaders in the future. So please, if you're a new person here, find a seasoned veteran and connect with them, work with them, figure out how you can plug in and engage if you so want to get involved in leadership in our organization. As you know, the last 6 years have been really transformative and we've been around in our organization. We had a couple past years that I believe we're going to celebrate our 25th year anniversary. John Smith and my co-worker basically put a challenge out for us to grow 50 new members for our 25-year celebration. And as true economic developers, we exceeded our goal, because that's what we do, and we had 60 new members during the organization. And then in 22 and 23, our membership increases have been over 10% gains. Now, it's not just about numbers, but the reason we want to grow our base is so we can have greater influence, greater additional people that are umbrella, so we can have greater understanding and greater impact on jobs and investment. So we appreciate all of you and being part of that equation. Also, when we look back onto the conference, we know it's a lot about engaging, networking, leadership. So please take time to ask questions to our speakers, follow up with conversation. And as we reflect on earlier on Juneteenth, I talked about the 7 principles of one. The one that really stands out is collective work and responsibility to build and maintain our community together. We use problems, solve them together. So I'm hoping that throughout all of our conferences, not just today or here today, we work collectively to solve our
So with that, we're back to the conference, and getting engaged, and because we're gonna have now our dialogue that can tell us what's going on in the legislative front. Our chair-elect, Jason Stark, who is also over our legislative committee. Good afternoon, everybody. So I am Jason Stark. I'm the economic development manager for and also the vice chair as well. Which is great. First, obviously, I want to appreciate and recognize the significance to the team. Did an excellent job. I'm really excited about the impact that WEDA is making. As legislature, I wanted to start off together through WEDA, big team effort on advocacy, which was one of WEDA's really main high priorities. And we had 6 very strong legislative sessions. We obviously did not accomplish this alone. Our state legislative partners got the job done for us. And I want to acknowledge that we have 7 state legislators with us throughout the conference. Very briefly, we will have Senator Noel Frayne, Senator Representative Stephanie Bernard, State Representative Corey, State Representative Northeast, State Representative Brandon Donaghy, State Representative Mary Dunn, State Representative Waters, most likely others. If you see them, please stop and say thank you. And also, let's get again a really quick welcome and thank you to all the work that you expressed. We recently strong on this session. 2021 was a phenomenal. We made some strong gains in and this year. I want to thank everyone for your advocacy and focus and support assistance. Transportation and broadband. There was so much. We did help secure 5 new investments in the state. There's that funding is we've had successful wins. We've led a multi-year campaign that results in another coalition success with constituents program in 2023. We led the coalition effort in the story of tax financing jobs bill in 2021, and we are going to need to continue to work together next session and someday to expand. During the pandemic, we helped secure hundreds of millions of dollars to support small business and those who bought small business assistance. And you know that 34.5 small business need you go. That came out of the idea of needed generate, and we have to do that together. Together, we're really strong, make great things happen. We also have strong support and important infrastructure, economic development, we are a respected voice in economic solutions and importance of a business economy. But we know we have much more work to do. We continue to focus on addressing the needs of the BIPOC areas. We have a legislative retreat that is coming up in August in Williamsburg. And if you have any thoughts or ideas for our 2025 legislative agenda, please let myself, Suzanne know, or let Mr. Justin know. I want to make sure to thank those of you who are engaging with the legislative. There are consistently about 25 folks
Many of you particularly participated in our week legislative and are signing on bills and writing or emailing legislators. So your engagement is tremendously appreciated. I just ask that you continue to do that as we look as we look towards the 2025 session, again, I ask you to act. Now I have the opportunity to thank our sponsors for the conference. We have increased our sponsorships by 6 folds. Again, this is the volume of work this is doing. So we want to give them a huge thank our sponsors as we put on a strong program for you. The support needed in our conference. So please join me in thanking first of all our platinum annual sponsors, Washington State Department of Commerce, local sponsor, Impact Washington, the Washington Department of Enterprise Services, Pierce County, Pierce Economic Development Council, Economic Development Board, Greater Spokane and Oakland, Port of Seattle, and King County. Our silver annual sponsors, Port of Vancouver, USA, Washington State Migrant Association, Willamette Economic Development Council, Washington Small Business Development Center, Grow America, and the Employment Security Department. Columbia River Economic Development Council, Washington Minority Business Development Agency Business Center, Yakima County Development Association, Economic Alliance in Homish County, and Kitsap Economic Development Alliance. Support of our sponsors, local first, Pacific Power, and SWAT. Thank you again for being here. It's a great conference. And
Great, thank you, Gina, and once again, welcome to do this many times as we can. Excited that you're here. I'm Mandy Palmer, Economic Development Manager for the City of Richland, and I'm proud to serve as Vice Chair of the Conference Planning Committee. I wanted to make sure and thank the committee members. Of course, without them, we would be able to put this together. Of course, so I want to make sure and thank the committee. You know. I also want to make sure to take the time to thank all staff, including those back in the kitchen and house staff, host us this week. We're excited about the summer conference, and first I want to make sure to thank our folks here in the city, the county of Spokane, and particularly Alicia Benson and Gary Blue for your something for your hard work all out right. Just briefly, I'm working on an agenda. It's also available on Swap Card, so be sure to kind of get that app downloaded and keep track of the agenda, which we strongly encourage you to use. It's also available on WEDA's website, wedaonline.org. And if you're like me and you love to print and run, try out. Those are also out at the table, so while we're trying to do that. And if you should have any questions or anything, the table facilitator or any of us that board and are happy to get into it. For those that needed Wi-Fi, but there is a table tent that has Wi-Fi information. The Developmemt brand will get you in, and there is no so, just check that out and get your Wi-Fi. I hope that throughout the conference, everyone will actively engage in the chat within Swap Card, so feel free to send some emails, those kinds of things, meetings. There's that feature in there. And with that, we're going to move into our next poll question. So, get out your Mentimeter or your phones and use the QR code to get back to Mentimeter. And before 1 o'clock, you can answer that next question. That would be really helpful. And we want to encourage you to keep using Swap Card, of course, to do your networking. How many of you are attending the WEDA conference for the first time? Great, welcome. Experience for you. So if you have any questions about the conference of WEDA, or you're interested in becoming a member or not, or promoting it, we definitely love to help you do that. If you have any technical questions or issues in the conference, there's a couple places. In addition to those of us on our name tag, it'll say board, staff, committee, all of those, and then people out front. So keep an eye on that conference agenda. Make sure we plan out sessions to gather as much information as you can out of our conference. And the conference committee wanted to make sure that this is a fun conference for everybody. So you have lots of time for connecting and networking with multiple quarters that we don't always get to see as often as we like. So even regionally, you can have great meetings here while you're at the conference. One important thing that I want to make sure to mention is our emerging leader social tonight at Zola. And the emerging leader doesn't mean you have to put up with this time, right? So feel free to engage with that group. It's a fun venue. So please jump right in, network throughout the conference, use your Swap Card, actively engage. And now I would like to turn that I'm lucky to have the honor to introduce WEDA's Executive Director, Suzanne.
I just told you guys maybe 30 seconds, but this is my favorite part of the whole conference, is seeing all of you. So to see that, to see it come to fruition, beautiful things, and I think a lot of effort to do. So thank you, thank you, thank you. So one is welcome, two is thank you. I want to make sure I quickly mention Holly, Elizabeth, Sam's in Atlanta, Carrie's in Bothell. We have these very part-time consultants. Really, really ready to make this happen. Thank you to the board, the conference planning committee, and my third point, this matters. You've heard about it, you're part of the voice, and we need you. Thanks so much for being here. I didn't follow my script. So now, the reason why I wanted to rush along is we have some great content at this conference, so I hope people engage. And we're going to jump right into the rest of the program and I'll hand it back to Tia to start, who will host our keynote session.
She said there's such a human resource. So thank you, Suzanne. I'm really excited. And our upcoming keynote speaker who will help us start direction and bringing all stage. To introduce our keynote speaker, I'd like to bring to the stage my dear friend, who is the executive point economic development. Members services secretary. Please help me and welcome me my
Good afternoon. Christian Economic Development Council is pleased to sponsor and partner with WEDA support development and increasing economic vitality across the country. My organization's focus is on building an equitable, collaborative, and inclusive economy. We realize that we can use that critical partnership. It is my honor to reintroduce Andrea O'Pete Sanderson, Andrea's co-founder and co-executive director of BlackHawk Executive Directors Coalition, multicultural, statewide, collaborative, non-profit leaders of color who for uniting healing advocacy to generate shared abundance. Andrea is one of 4 architects of Black Future Co-op, Washington's first cooperative philanthropy created by and for Black generational wealth, health, and well-being. For more than 25 years, Andrea worked as racial and social justice for people across Washington. As an immigrant to this country as well, a single mother, Andrea knows how it feels to be marginalized and struggling. Throughout her career, Andrea has translated her lived experience coupled with her determination to forge solutions to systemic barriers to opportunity. Most recently, she served for 20 years as a historically Black organization that empowers people to healthy, prosperous lives through essential services and services free, among others. She is steering committee member of equitable recovery and reconciliation. When it comes to sprinting, this conference, and we she's completed Seattle Rock and Roll half marathon. Thank you. Please join me in welcoming the speaker.
Thank you. I want to sprint on stage. It's my pleasure to be here with you in Spokane today. For those who need visual support, I am a Black-bodied woman, medium build. I have short brown hair. I'm wearing a navy suit, slacks, blazer, a white tank top, and what's supposed to be white shoes. Again, as was said, I'm Andrea Sanderson, and I am co-executive director of the Black, Indigenous, and People of Color Executive Directors Coalition of Washington State, also known as the BIPOC Coalition. And before we get into my presentation, I'd like to take a moment of silence, because we're in Spokane, and a very dear friend of mine and activist, Sandy Williams, unfortunately passed away 2 years ago. I cannot be in this city and not say her name. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Sandy. So, a little bit about the BIPOC Coalition. Our community demanded our existence. We were created in the summer of 2020, June of 2020 to be exact. And we were experiencing in our Black and brown communities what a lot of folks knew from these headlines, right? It was the murder of George Floyd. COVID had descended on us. We were already experiencing the economic effects of segregation in our communities, lack of opportunity throughout our communities, but now compounded with grieving and raging at that time, our executive directors needed a space or a container, if you will. And so myself and 3 other BIPOC leaders came together and simply said, let's pull a Zoom call together. We thought maybe 30 BIPOC leaders would come to that call. And that was a call to just hear from people. Tell us what's happening with you. Tell us what's happening in your line of sight, whether it's in Spokane, or Gig Harbor, or Vancouver, or Bellingham. Tell us what's happening with you. 240 people came. We held that call 2 weeks later, 198. We held that call 2 weeks later, 158. And it kept hovering around. And thereby was born the BIPOC Coalition. At the same time, as was mentioned, I was also leading Bird Bar Place, community action agency. If there are any community action agencies in this room today, please show your hands. That's right. I work with community action, so happy 60th birthday, community action. I gotta give a quick plug for community action because they are the last line of defense in human services. Community action covers every county in the United States. Born in '64, right? There's 30 in Washington State, 1,000 nationwide. So just think about the great work community action does behind the scenes. I was running a community action agency where I saw people falling out of the middle class onto my incubator funds. At the same time, I was holding those calls that created the BIPOC Coalition. Similarly, I have 3 other colleagues, Senator Tawana Knowles, Michelle Merriweather, president of the Urban League of Metropolitan Seattle, Angela Jones, who was in Washington STEM, the CEO there, who is now at Gates. We came together, we said, we need to respond to what's happening. Because we knew philanthropic redlining was also happening, public philanthropic reporting. We knew that only 2% of all philanthropic dollars nationally went to organizations led by Black people. So in response to that, we created the Black Vision Fund to raise $25 million to sub-grant to Black-led organizations. To date, we've raised $27 million. To date, we have distributed $8 million. Our next goal is to raise $246 million. That's $1 million for each year of institutional support in this country. It is largely symbolic, but it ensures that we're finished, because there's much more to do here on that. So back to the BIPOC Coalition. Again, myself and 3 other leaders created this container where we knew that BIPOC leaders needed some respite. We needed a space where we could heal, where we could take off our masks and our capes, because we understand, we know that some of us are working in environments where we're grinding with it. We're also working in environments where we are activated by games, right? We're in environments where we are oftentimes confused. And so the BIPOC Coalition offers a container where you are on the menu, where you can be heard, you can be seen and acknowledged. It's also a container where we talk about solidarity building. That is what undergirds the BIPOC Coalition. We understand that there is also not just racism that affects our communities, but lateral violence. The harm that communities of color creates and perpetuates against other communities of color. So we created a container to acknowledge that, to name that, to address that. We're also addressing resourcing our communities, because at the time that we were created in 2022, we also understood that only 8% of all philanthropic dollars nationally goes to organizations led by people. But yet we were being called on more so than ever to step up in that role. Again, there was police brutality, there was the rise in Asian hate, there was grinding and withering as an employee across all sectors, right? Not just nonprofit, government sector, private sector. And so we wanted to have a place where we could be talking with our peers, be sharing ideas with our peers, and be dreaming together. One of the things that we came up with was about advocating as one voice, acknowledging each other individually and culturally, but also coming together powering members to action. And we created the Philanthropic Pledge, which I'm proud to say 60 local and regional philanthropic funders signed this pledge. This is a very important pledge. It has 4 components. First part of that pledge says to impose a 10% required payout on ourselves. Right now it's 5%. 5% is operating funds. We're saying increase that to 10%, in addition to operating funds. What we're saying in number 2 is to designate that additional 5% to BIPOC-led organizations. Because we do not want philanthropy taking money away from white-led organizations and giving it to people of color. We need white allies in the work. We do not want to compete with you. We want to fulfill you. So that was very important for us. 3, we need funders, especially philanthropic funders, to give multi-year funding, to give unrestricted funding, not one and done. And part 4 is really important. We need them to invest in systemic change. We need them to invest in advocacy, fund lobbying. Where are my lobbyists in the room? Right? Lobbying is a very important lever that can be used to make movements. Lobbying is seen as a luxury in nonprofit organizations, yet. And so then the second component of our work in BIPOC Coalition is about healing and repair, individual healing, collective healing. We suffer from generational trauma. We want to acknowledge that. We acknowledge that in these movements. And so in acknowledging that, we also are sharing wisdom, ancestral wisdom, about how we can move forward together. Heal across, within communities of color, but across communities with our white ally communities. So far, what we have done is raise money to actually implement healing programs. So we've done workshops, we've done thinking of ways in which you can do work in a sustainable way. We are a little engine that could. We're daring to dream big, which means we want to permeate this idea about the entire work. This idea of health and wellness being a part of the work, not afterward, not if there are resources available. So our very first year, 2021, we raised money so that we could give out 21-week respites for executive directors of the coalition. In year 2, we gave out 32 1-month and 3-month respites, paid respites. We paid the organization. We also paid the executive director's salary. We support the organization. We support the executive director. This year and next year, we plan to do 51. And what that means is that, it says healing begins, is that it shifts the culture. Right? I'm going to pat ourselves on the back and say that now we have funders for instituting sabbatical programs within their organizations. We now have funders who are willing to openly talk about the benefits of sabbaticals. We have a community in philanthropy that understands the value of liberatory work. We're talking about this Juneteenth, right? Liberation. And so next year we plan to expand our sabbaticals to 6 months. We plan to expand our sabbaticals to not just the CEOs, but senior leaders or across the state. We also hope to possibly nationally. Because again, we want to be that little engine that permeate this work out across the nation. In the world, we saw the great resignation, right? We saw the quiet quitting. How can we respond as employers to ensure that we are caring for our workforce, right? That we are getting the talent, the skills, and the passion that we need to drive our workforce. We have to think of health. And so our work is largely liberatory. Speaking of liberatory, I will not eclipse Vaughn's words, because Vaughn spoke so eloquently about Juneteenth. But today is Black Liberation Day for all my Black people in the room. Black Liberation Day. If there's one message that's important for me that you take away today, is have and continue the will to know. Right? Be curious to know. Know more about all the things you're learning today. The folks who will before me, those who will speak after me, and use your voice to say what you know. Suzanne knows this, when she called me to ask me this. I'm on vacation this week. I'm on vacation this week. My 50th birthday is tomorrow. I'm using my voice to say what I know, because I know it's so important for my ancestors. We're in 2024. In 1924, my ancestors could not stand here before you to talk about Black liberation and feel safe. In 1824, they dare not dream about talking with you about Black liberation. And so I am using my voice to say what I know today. And again, Vaughn's already spoken about the issue of Juneteenth, 2.5 years delayed, but it came.
I use my voice when I learn about Juneteenth, so I'll be 50 tomorrow. But I only learned about Juneteenth 30 years. 30 years. Right? And so when I learned about this from colleagues from Texas, I did research, more information to learn more about this. I'm making this up. This couldn't be. But then I learned more and more from so many elders about the hopes and dreams they could help for AGT. A federal holiday that was not in existence. And so in 2007, I joined the Voices with other voices in Washington State. I can't take credit for it, but I joined the Voices to say what I know. To say what I know. And so what we did was try to enact Juneteenth as a holiday. We got an acknowledgement in 2007. It's better than nothing. But in 2022, Governor Inslee signed it into law. A month later, President Biden signed it into law. And so I am happy that I have been able to engender, again, this justice. I'm living into this justice that my ancestors fought for my life because I'm saying what I know. This is a quote from Hannah Nicole Jones. I don't know how we can feel until we acknowledge our past. Recognizing Juneteenth is one way of doing that. The work we do at the BIPOC Coalition is before we can move on to this quote sums up Juneteenth, Black liberation, and all the transgressions committed against people. If you haven't heard of her, she's the author of the 1619 Project. Please purchase her book. It is banned in a few states. You still have access to her materials. I don't like reading, it's on Audible. It's also a short version on Hulu. So many different ways to know, and it's say what you know. And so ways that you can support Juneteenth, of course, is learn more about it, curious, deepen your understanding. And maybe next year on June 19th, you can be on a stage somewhere lifting up Juneteenth. I'll even challenge non-Black folks. Maybe you can carry the mantle on Juneteenth and allow us to rest. Give us a quiet day while you think of Juneteenth. You can also educate others in your community about Juneteenth, support Black-owned businesses and organizations, and advocate for social justice. There's a voice in this for you too, because it's our collective liberation. I strongly believe personally that my liberation is bound. And if we're going to have a world where we want our descendants to not be in this work in this way, we're going to have to see it as our collective. Thank you. Your fear of me and my trauma can no longer be used as fuel to create a future. It has to be fueled differently. So be curious. Think about how we can. They're already symbiotically connected. Design a future together. And so this thought for me was important because as I learned more about my ancestral history, and I learned about the stories and the experiences of Black body in our world. This was quintessentially throughout history, many white Americans have thought and acted that Black prosperity was detrimental to us. What is true is that Black prosperity benefits us all. So we're here to talk about economic development, which spans all the sectors, private and public. And there's a powerful report written by Kellogg Foundation, released in 2018. It says by 2050, our country stands to realize $8 trillion gain in GDP by closing the U.S. racial gap. Right? How do we think about political
those into the table from the margins that historically we have not allowed in these groups. People of color, women, gender expansive people. How do we think about that? How do we think about being more inclusive? Again, because your liberation is tied to my liberation. And from an economic development perspective, if we care about having a competitive economy, this is the lever you want to pull. And it's laid out in this report. It has all the pillars that you all said were concerns of childhood. They lay it out. Housing, workforce development, economic security, education. This should be your blueprints. It also further breaks it down by category. How much money stands to be gained if we invest in the untapped talents, experiences of Black and brown people, gender expansive people, and women. Right? Just think about how we have valued mainstream talent and experiences more than we have valued people. And so, if we can think about shifting that paradigm, this is what we stand to gain. Now, the Black Future Co-op Fund, we knew as we were raising money, even though the four of us that created the fund are Black, we knew we could not speak wholesale for the 500,000 plus Black Washingtonians here. That we needed to go out to community to hear from them. So we offered the Black Well-Being Study, where we studied several pillars. We wanted to hear from our community. But what we heard loud and clear was that they felt the lived experience of being the last, the least, the left out, the bottom of every pillar of education, security, public safety, civic engagement, you name it. And so the objectives of this study was to support collective organizing across the state of Washington. I know too many people who've been in predominantly Black communities will say, well, are there Black folks in Washington state? We are here. A large majority of us, 49%, lives in King County. But we're also in Pierce, Snohomish, Spokane County, Kitsap County, Vancouver County. We're even in Okanagan. Right? And so we wanted to take the point of accountability to connect our communities to organize. We wanted to be able to provide information to direct resources to our communities. And we also need to inform policy change. It goes back to system change. And so just a quick snapshot, most of the groups that we interviewed cited economic mobility as one of the most important things in their lives. And that makes sense to me. As I said, a little bit over 500,000 Black Washingtonians live in our state, but 40% of us are reliant on social services in some way, shape, or form. Shame on us. 40% of us are living at or below the poverty line in Washington State. Shame on Washington State. We can do better. Quickly, a snapshot here that shows generational and the racial wealth divide that exists in the United States. If you all have heard of The Color of Money by Mercer Rodman, a wonderful book, this is its reference. For the details the history of money in America, from the abolition of slavery all the way to the Obama years. And what it says ultimately is that it will take 228 years for the average Black family to come to the wealth of the average white family. Again, shame on us. We can do better. Think about that as you're practicing thought leadership for the next few days. Think about that as you're organizing your agencies and your peers, as we're doing strategic thinking about where and how we should pull the levers in economic development. Housing, homeownership is also one of those wicked societal issues that we can't seem to get out in front of, right? We have the houseless, but then we also have homeownership, which Black folks. Quick story, my husband and I bought our home 10 years ago.
I remember real estate broker saying, I want to check right on that. Even though our credit score was in the 800s, man. Little old house in Skyway, we all goes out together. But we were told to check right on the application. She was a white-bodied woman telling me this, but she knew there was also a sophisticated form of redlining that continues to happen today. Shame on us. And so what we heard from our Black community across Washington State is that we need to expand Black-owned businesses and entrepreneurship support. You all already know this, right? We need to increase Black home ownership as a lever to economic mobility and security. Create an equitable work environment, not just a work environment that attracts Black people, but retains us. It's a different model of work. We need to partner with Black youth to create jobs tomorrow. I agree with that. We actually hear that from across communities of color about including our youth. Not necessarily because they need mentorship. They have ideas that we don't think about. They have ideas that are our blind spots. And so it is a value to include our future generations to think about creating a vision for our future. We need to encourage Black voices in urban planning. We see so many Black communities being pushed out, priced out, gentrification happening. Ways that you can step into this inclusive economy, right? The first one is a mindset change. Emphasize abundance over scarcity. There truly is enough resources, but we've been led to believe that this is a zero-sum game. But remember, your liberation is tied to money. I truly believe that when we all do better, we all do better. Plan for economic gardening. That means harness the talents and experiences from right here in our communities. Don't look outside of our communities. Invest in public services. As I said, 40% of Black Washingtonians are on human services. Invest in your local community action agencies. Advocate for support and equitable policies where my legislators support our legislators. Be their eyes and ears on the ground. My final thought with you today, by Lila Watson, Indigenous Australian visual artist. If you come here to help me, you're wasting your time. But if you come because your liberation is bound up in value, then let's work together. But what it did do was it started with the room. This is a snippet of a poem my the world to me or to see with my mom, the woman in my life. It's a poem called I Rise. Leaving behind nights of terror and fear, I rise into a daybreak that is wondrous and clear. I rise. Living the gifts that my ancestors gave, I rise. And the dreams and the hope of this slave. I rise. I rise. I rise. And I am going to say, take that with you and you engage with others economic. It takes all of us. Together we will rise, make our community better. So I am so excited about this fireside chat we are going to have, which focuses on successful strategies for the future. I'm looking forward to this session because as economic developers, we are told to just do. How do we do it? Just don't do it. And so we've done equity, inclusion, and economic opportunity. But we all know that it's not that simple. So for this fireside chat, we are really excited we're going to have some experts on the stage to help us with the tasks that we are opting in.
But before we start, or as we get started, there's the next quote question, number 3 of 5, and you're going to back. So if you haven't figured out yet, ask your neighbor, or there's a QR code. It's also fun. It's unfortunate one of our panel members is not able to join us, although spontaneous. So, had some family issues come out, so we wish her well. And now I'd like to introduce Shauna Farragut, Business Diversity Outreach Manager for the Washington State Customer Service Enterprise, and one of WEDA's valued sponsors who will kick off our panel. Welcome, Shauna.
Oh, greetings, man. And it's my pleasure to be here today. I work for the Department of Enterprise Services. We are the lead procurement agency for goods and services. My team, the PI team, Procurement Inclusion Equity, is leading the effort to buy more goods and services from small, minority, and veteran businesses. We're doing this in 2 main ways. We're working to change the hearts and minds and behavior of our procurement professionals. We're doing that in a way where we're creating new laws and policies that we must follow, but also a community of practitioners that care about contract equity. We're also creating a pipeline of small, diverse, and veteran businesses to meet our state goods and services purchasing needs. We're doing this in 2 ways. We've got a state contracting assistance networking program that my colleague Kim Sauer is leading up, 33 grassroots organizations that we partner with to help find small, diverse, and veteran businesses who sell the goods and services that we need. I brought my whole team here, and we are a gold sponsor of WEDA because they've been a great partner here. They're all at this table. Some of them, I guess, are taking a bathroom break, but I just wanted them to stand real quickly. And Hugo from the Governor's Office of Innovation is also here with us today. So I would invite. So in closing, I just want you all to please join us because we should all be working to correct the impacts of the historical racism that has traumatized many of our communities and prevented BIPOC-led businesses from getting their fair share of state contracting and commercial. With that, we will move to our fireside chat panelists. As she mentioned, Paula Sardinas is unable to make it. And Gina is going to moderate this panel. Thank you. Thank you.
So yes, we'll be one more panelist. So Mario, okay, I'm going to introduce you, Mario. Can you help me out a little bit? Thank you. Marco, thank you. He's Executive Director of HANA, which is an amazing organization. I've known about the organization for a really long time. They do amazing work here. To the panel. Next, I would like to invite Sherline Wilson, Executive Director of the Washington Employees for Racial Equity, to join us on the stage. Yarson, Regional 10 Administrator of the U.S. Business Administration. All right, can you guys hear us? Yeah, a little bit of sharing. So again, if you guys introduce, please your bios in the swap card app.
So to start with, why don't each of you and
Okay, that's great. Well, thank you very much for the invitation to be here today. I am Sherline Wilson. I'm the Executive Director of the Washington Employers for Racial Equity, which is less of an organization, more of an initiative. My background is in systems transformation and change management. And so you might wonder why someone with my skill set has been to a coalition that's about advancing. So I'm so excited about the partnership with 80 major corporations that made a commitment in 2020 to do more in their power in the interest of advancing racial equity. That is the work. They're on a 10-year sprint to close some equity gaps while being able to have the courage to name that the disproportionality faced by Black Washingtonians, as mentioned by Ms. Lee Sanderson, is real. They need to be more proximate to it, and they need to take actionable authentic steps towards closing those gaps. So that's where, that's me, and I'm honored. Oh, reflection on Juneteenth. My family's from Texas, so we've actually always celebrated Juneteenth. So I'm just so thrilled to see that we're educating folks and we're getting the word out there and we're enjoying this liberation moment. So thank you for allowing me to be here.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Marco Redenden, second generation Filipino American. My organization is Multi-Ethnic Business Association, better known by our acronym. One stands for Asian Hispanic African. We consider ourselves a broad organization, and all our ethnicities represented in businesses and communities. A lot of our work is to raise our multi-organization business owners. We are striving very, very hard in the minority. Mean by that, we not use the word minority. Our people, wherever we are native from, we're not minorities. So if you're from Africa, we're not a minority. We only became minorities. That's not to say we also have Native Americans that also are known as also our descendants of slaves, also this. So our goal is to make sure that our businesses see themselves as people first, see themselves equals to our business owners, and to not think of themselves. Because as soon as you say that word, so be that second. So that means that we charge at the same rate that you walk into a boardroom, you walk in there, high, it's like any other person there. So that is just kind of the mindset change that we're trying to instill. I mean, even in our organization, all our ethnicities, one of our newest employees came in and she said, "My name's Tom." I said, "But what's your Chinese?" And she said, "It's Chinese." "What is your Chinese?" She said, "Oh, shit." I said, "We will call you shit. Chantel, name repeat yourself in this country." So we strive as much as possible to honor our ancestors and our ethnicities now. And at the same time, we can educate our businesses about how to start a business, how to succeed as a business owner, how to provide and contribute to the economic development of the region, and build your generational wealth. Build forever. My reflection for Juneteenth is a little bit different. I was in one of those first 3 meetings of the Black Coalition, and it was just a wonderful thing for me to sit with all these screens, with all these mountain black Asian faces talking about the same. Well, that reflection to me for Juneteenth, BIPOC coalitions, for me, the beginning of liberation.
Always like, by coalition, Washington State. Thought about that. The BIPOC coalition, as you heard earlier, was created as a space that contains BIPOC leaders across Washington State with two imperatives, right? We want to resource our nonprofits, we need to motivate them to continue the work they're doing, also create health and wellness, use it as part of the work to make it more sustainable. I'll be brief. My reflection is that every step I take, this is a mantra that we use at the Black Co-op Fund. We want to be good ancestors. So every step I take to dig forward, I'm very mindful of how I'm taking those steps, what steps I'm taking. They lead to me being a good ancestor.
So I'd say to be here, so always look for good with always administration. I consider supporting small business all culture. So I'm very proud to be in this position because my journey started 22 years ago when I moved to Mexico with a dream. So as many moved from this country, and now when I'm sitting in this position, I believe in this what has come generally, I can say, that's here as an undocumented immigrant, start visiting different dollars into the government's country. Found an organization called EQUITABLE, was the first program in Spanish to serve that community. And today, working with small business administration, we have a business school with 18 new business applications in these 3 last years. Only 2023, we have 5.3 million businesses. So we have a lot of great momentum in all business community. That's what I'm here to share a little bit more about. What are we doing at small business administration with the federal government? Where we meet people where they are really kind of like finally 20 years worth of this broken record that we are really serve them, empower them. Now we're making progress. So in terms of my reflection, I've been an advocate, partner, for so I always think that when one of my companies win, we all win. So for me, that's what I always feel like. Every time other first one win and really support. Because I know they're going to be there for me. So that's how we're doing my contribution is carried. That's my reflection. So,
Thank you. So this session is, of course, is focusing on successful strategies towards a more economic future. And so what are your thoughts on what a more economic future is?
I would love to start, as I mentioned, now working with the government administration. I always say, I don't really want to work with government because I work with very entrepreneurs and I've been very entrepreneurial. And when I come in from ventures, I have the ability to things that have voice. So for me, the way that we can create a more equitable economy is really what I wish was start with people really understanding the purpose and we need support. We don't have why is this not good? What is the problem with it? Yeah. We just need peace and we need to be a very mindful how we choose. Sitting with them, learning from them, hearing, bring that to the White House and then from there, bring resources. And I keep hearing access to funding, access to support, to really deliver. We need to really funding. We really need to just start these communities for them to thrive. Champions who really make a lot. I think that's a way for creating more equitable economies. As I mentioned, I did ventures before we have an the first level state. So we were just creating the and so that's kind of what I would have involved. So for me, that's kind of what the first step that we do is like really
I wholeheartedly agree with that, and I add to that, as you're listening, it's building relationships. Right, this work is deeply relational. Oftentimes when we talk about, when we hear the term reparations, about financial, it does include that financial repair, but there also needs to be relationship repair. When we talk about harms that have been committed against each other, there was a breakdown. And there needs to be credence paid towards building that relationship, building that trust. So as you are listening, as you are then taking that information to advocate, you have built a relationship, you have a connection, where you have then embodied those priorities. I think that that gets overlooked oftentimes. It's seen as a soft skill. It's not valued as a technical skill, but it's where everything happens. Is that the point of the relationship?
Those are two very great answers, and so I will applaud both of those. And not try to repeat what they said, but for me to create a more equitable economy is to start getting more brown and black people in boardrooms, getting them in decision-making boardrooms and committees, things like that. Here in Spokane, I feel like a broken record that every time you say, what do we need to do? And one of the things that I'm struggling with, you had some numbers up there on what the economy with brown line. Said that in Washington State, it's not very easy to pull a report to see how many multi-ethnic businesses are in any part of the state required to report ethnicity on business license. So what that means to me is that HANA as an organization cannot walk into economic development conversation for Spokane County to say that our brown line businesses represent X amount of businesses, X amount of economic autonomy, dollars, what that brings in the way of tax base and how employed. So we're at this disadvantage by not having representation. And what I hate to hear is that we get invited to the tent, not the first.
Awesome. So all of the above, and I'll just add here that, you know, an inclusive future looks like a future that has the skill sets to be reflected, to periodically stop and check and have those confidence markers that are we going the right direction? Yes, diverse boards are important and collectively important for a competitive, vibrant future. But the ability to learn and spot and see where systems are broken and need repair,
the ability to skill build and learn the soft skills and the hard skills, relationship building, of mindfulness, of emotional regulation. And I say emotional regulation, this is hard work. This is hard work and emotional work. So you have to have the fortitude and the courage to push this work forward, no matter how difficult it sounds, no matter how hard and challenging the political life is. So that's what I believe is really essential.
Thank you. Those are all great answers. And, so I'm going to build a little bit on what you said about seriously. And sometimes when I talk with my undergraduate developers, especially ones that are not in this order, it's intimidating. And so, for my experts, if they're just beginning to engage in this work, they want to, but we just don't quite have. What advice do you have? Because we often see that actions are, well, we're predominantly white and we want to engage in this work, so what do they normally do? They hire a person of color to do that work. So what strategies, advice can we give for them to engage in the approach, build those relationships?
Is it okay if I start? Just so I can talk a little bit about what our coalition is working on now. So we have a number of programs that one are designed to get CEOs and corporate executives proximate to all the systemic issues that are disproportionately impacting communities of color and specifically where we get our information from or sources like the report, right? So when businesses say, I don't know what to do, I don't know where to start, how do I learn? We go to experts who are on the ground in community and ask and learn and look at their work and say, and amplify that. And then we work with them on reflection and skill building to figure out what they need to do to take action within their own corporate environments, right? And we have two main pillars that we work on here. One is the workforce itself, who's the workforce cultures. So if anybody ever heard of inclusion, those kinds of programs within organizations around recruitment, retention, and promotion of people of color. We work systemically within organizations to increase diversity on corporate boards, but also to train those existing boards so they understand the value of that. And then the other piece is working with our organizations to increase overall their investments in Black-owned businesses, but also by extension businesses of color. That is everyone's work. And one of the things that WEDA is about is having that journey to do that collectively.
I would say that if you're not sure where to start, you need to start hiring people that know that they're doing it. They hire around many other organizations across the state. In Spokane, there's 5 of us. There's Ohana, Latinos in Spokane, Carl Maxey Center, Simba, and Sister Sky. All these 5 organizations are trusted messengers there. And they rely on us to make sure that certain things are possible. COVID dollars were available. We went out to communities to say, this is a government program. Yes, you don't trust the government. You need to trust me. That this is something that is beneficial. They normally will not have done. Because of that, they help our communities. And really, you need to start networking with those who know the community. I'm going to give kudos to Inside here. They reached out to Ohana when we were just a zillion miles away. We had just worked with YCEA. with a grant that we received from Congress, YCPA, and about $1.6 million to small businesses in Spokane, Yakima, Whitman, and Stevens County. And we were just going, oh my gosh. And Gary came to us and said, we want to do an accelerator program. And Joe was like, accelerator program. I'm like, yeah, maybe in about 6 months. And they're like, no, like next month. And we're like, oh my God. We don't know that we have to do it, but thank God that they pushed. Because that was an amazing thing that happened over the summer. And 10 White Fox small businesses went through an amazing program, learned things about their business and how to accelerate the business. And when it was done, they were like, when's round 2? So there was the need for that. And I'm glad to say round 2 is happening like that now. I think they will graduate 2 weeks or next week. But again, it is reaching out and finding those organizations in your communities that are trusted messengers. My experience from this is when I was more of an advocate within our LGBT plus community, and I was working with Spokane AIDS Network, and had a friend of mine who was a Black advocate for getting the word out to the Black community. And I said, Lorenzo, I'm going to do that. He says, Marvel, I'm going to church. That's where my people are. I'm going to go to church. So go to church, people. That's what we do.
You're welcome to add. No need to, go to the unlikely places, right? If you're around up in a rural county, go reach out to a coastal county, see what they're doing, how they're doing. If you're in a suburban county, reach out to an urban county. And I'm saying this just speaking from my community action path, the actions all across Washington State, and we needed to learn about directly impacting people on specific experiences. We didn't know how to enter communities, so we went to our partner agencies to understand how to keep in community, to do this and learn about those issues. So it's the unlikely places, and you can also bring it to your home. Right now, I'm doing something provocative. There's some really wealthy white philanthropists. I'm having them host 16, 19 parties at their house with their friends and talk about it.
I will just add, yes, to everything, and I would just always conclude with representation matters. So when someone is you really want to reach that, they feel identified, they are the company. So when I started covering Spanish, entrepreneurs, same space, please. So please be very much. And also, I will share the experience about the community, yourself, don't just service.
Well, I know I have some more questions, but I'm going to very full room, so I anticipate we have a lot of questions. Check the slot back, but I didn't see any questions in there. So if you have questions, please stand up, say your name and your organization. I was going to say, I know this room. All right, here's my partner, Tracy. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
So my name is Dr. Tracy Herrera. I wear 4 hats today. I am the immediate past president of the National Black MBA Association, one of those trusted organizations that's been around for 40 years, focused on economic and intellectual empowerment. I am the DEI lead for the Seattle chapter of NAACP. My role is economic development co-chair for the Tacoma Pierce County Black Collective, and I'm an entrepreneur as well. My company is Developmemt Consulting. And I spent 25 years in the corporate space, and my question is really around the topic of sprinting toward a more equitable future. And I fell in love with y'all. Last time I was at a meeting conference, my girlfriend was like, that one right there. I heard about her all the way people were doing it. I was like, this is different. I had heard about you forever. And so hearing you today, I would love you before you came up on stage. It's such an honor. I cannot wait to connect. And I think really this is all about connection. So as you hear people speaking today, my encouragement is to make connections real, authentic, deep connections. But my question is the sprint concept. I heard you talk about, each of you talk about opportunities to make connections with real people doing real work. And a lot of that is happening. I'm so proud to be in this space with Lisa, Suzanne, and everyone here. But like, how do we truly sprint? Oftentimes, like, look around the room. We want an equitable future. I'm live streaming here because I need for my people in the organization to see all of you doing the work. So I guess my invitation to y'all and to you, I'll be back to you in a minute. But to all of y'all in this room is share what you're doing. People want to be a part of it, and we have to hear it. We want to hear it. We want to be a part of it. So what more can we do to truly sprint? Like, you know, Weir and I have a deep, long-standing relationship, and I honestly, you're on my top list of things to do in 2024 for the next 6 months. 80 companies have talked about what they wanted to do during George Floyd. Our community is not aware. I want to help amplify. You can reach out to me to actually amplify. So there's just work that needs to be done in a much more intense way. And we have solutions in community. So we have solutions, what we do to truly sprint toward a more equitable future and on top. But it's really not getting out. It's just, and what can we do? What can we do? If we have solutions, how can we bring them into these organizations? Thank you.
I like to. So it's great to think how to sprint, but who is doing the sprinting, right? It is our small businesses that are really needing to do the sprinting. And unfortunately, a lot of our small businesses, they go into business because they are great at what they did. They were working for somebody at one time, and then they decided I'm going to go into business. But did they learn how to run a business? No, they really did not. And so what we really need to do is get more and more of our small businesses educated. A lot of what Ohana's work is how do you run your business? How do you keep your books? What is stored for L&I and what is security? How do you make sure that your business is on the up and up? And so we need to be able to educate our businesses so that they don't sprint and then fall at the end and go, I can't do it anymore, and my debt is so high. They sprinted to death, sprinted to having a profit. I think that's the thing that we need to think about is making sure that we are sprinting to make sure our businesses are sprinting to success and not sprinting to death.
Searching for communities to develop markets or tell your story. The more that we tell our story, we're going to be able to advance. With education, of course, small business encourage all of you are doing that work because we described the system and but how do we create a system of story? Because sometimes the story is against us when we contribute. So for me, it's just like a shifting that thinking. And my dream is how do we create more funding in graphics music because I have access to those. So we really need to create more money for you to tell your story, be on social media, be like having a communications manager or a director, a focusing person. So you need to have that in teams. How many of you have those in your organizations? So I see just a few hands because we don't have the budgets for that. So we need to create the budgets. So that's kind of like how I think we're.
How we, that's what we're is mostly focused on is looking internally at the organization to be independent profits. And so what does that actually look like? When we say sprint, we mean you need to take a look at your procurement process and your buying process, right? And so if you're going to automatically say that you want to increase investment with Black-owned businesses that are ready to do business with you, what does that actually look like? What does that process look like? Streamline it and make it more efficient. And what investments are you making in the community and otherwise to make sure that that access is possible? Are we investing and showing up in all the right places, or we're working on access to capital, certifications, attestation, for example? And how are we able to grow that pipeline and advance towards a more economic future or more businesses that are ready to scale? So remember, the bigger organizations are very large corporations with very extensive, complicated procurement processes, supplier diversity processes. So these are years and years and years, decades and decades of processes that have been built up and designed to be sometimes complex, onerous, and hard. And so we're taking a look at what does it look like to actually streamline those processes, make them easier, get out to community, let them know that opportunities are available. There are two big events that we have. We're supporting employee resource groups and the valuable work they do on the recruitment, retention, and culture setting within organizations. That's happening in June. And then we have a supplier diversity conference in September, where we're actually doing some close-up proximate matching between where our companies and the organizations that are ready to do business with them. So that's what we call sprint.
There we go. Hi.
How do you advocate legally or?
Oh, that's literally of our, yeah.
Well, this past year, the governor had two proclamations that but I mean, basically allowing state agencies to start something like that. It doesn't have a lot of basically kind of open the door to state agencies to start saying, yes, we want to start working with our businesses. 200 stop there. So a little bit of strategy is for the door is open. The strategy is to start talking. Where are our legislators? Just raise up your hand. We can start talking to our legislators and start to strategize and think how do we to allow for.
Yeah, we, at the BIPOC Coalition, or the part of our strategy is to not take public funding. Because given the assault that DEI is under, there's going to be a lot of scrutiny, we understand that. So the private funds that we get from philanthropy is specifically earmarked from donors for BIPOC and Black communities. That's been our way around it. Although we are watching the actions against the Fearless Fund, the venture capitalist funds, we have been able to build deep relationships with our donors so that they're, even though we don't believe in restricted funding, specifically restricting their funding and their support for BIPOC issues, BIPOC work, the examination of DEI issues in the workplace where they were allowed funding for that. Unfortunately, this work will take decades to overturn because we're talking about changing hearts and minds, people working from fear. And so there needs to be that work happening, building solidarity across communities, between communities of color and white communities, as well as finding workarounds like we have, which is to find donors to earmark funding to do such work.
So your question was specific about state, I will speak about federal government, so I'm not aware of certified. And so we have the program which is certified. Say, I'm going to get certified from as soon as we're certified with accessibility, and also we're kind of reading and working on the certification. As soon as you're federal, we are trying to do kind of like one umbrella to be certified at the state. So we are trying to kind of make support with some of the state. So I think that's another way, such as you don't have access to start with the state to procurement, that is different. So I'm happy to talk about PDCs or that's their best friend, and especially
Great. One last question. How can you share?
That's exactly what we were. And it's not just I-200 that we're working on, it's the federal case law that's going on right now. The program having. But we're implementing specific states don't have. It's way out right now. Talk with whoever about how we're doing that. But my question really is around, as you know, as a government, we can drive change. We can drive change in business behavior and the policy. I believe a lot of the things that we can do in the government on that. And so I was wondering specifically in our state, we were doing okay. Just think about what sort of legislative changes, policy changes that we can make at the state government to increase the ecosystem and opportunities for businesses. I know that Orion is going to be doing some roundtable to talk about some of the barriers to business. We can create their ecosystem.
That's a great question. So one thing that I've been advocating for years is how do we serve more of the on the who have an action folder, and I think the state of Washington has been. So I think we can continue advocating on how we integrate those. Another thing is like kind of creating creative capital for entrepreneurs entrepreneurs or small businesses, especially those who have to serve, but they say that access to capital is free. We can set you up for a loan. But what about what we need to do? Those how do we do more grants? And we can start securing more grants for those individuals who never had access. And in terms of that, how do we just start a business instead of putting them into it? And I'm pretty sure I wanted to, because I have this data from ventures. If we give a grant, those people work very hard. They start their business, and then a year later they come on, and then they are already going to just jump. So I think that's what we will have as a list. How do we get more conversations? I have white papers about that. And we are so important. So that was going to be like important. But if anyone is about that.
Thank you. So we must find words for that one first. So, what I want to say is, are you guys sticking around for a little bit this afternoon at all? Maybe with you. So if you are, when you see them first, thank them, and then second of all, maybe you get a chance to answer any burning questions that you didn't get answered this afternoon. So please, big round of applause. And then we have break until 2:15, and we're going to enter into our breakout